Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for September 10th, 2024. This is a quasi-judicial forum, which means that as soon as the application is carried, it's basically done, but you do have a 20-day appeal period to come back if need be. So do we have any declaration of pecuniary interest? No. The approval of approve the addendum? No.
There's an addendum.
There's no addendum.
There's no addendum. The adoption of the agenda.
It is moved by Jonathan Sanford and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on September 10th, 2024 be adopted as presented.
Okay, everybody is okay with the, obviously with the agenda? Carried. The adoption of the minutes.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Jonathan Sanford. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on July 11th, 2024 be adopted as presented.
Everybody had a chance to read the minutes? Seemed okay? So I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody is okay with it? Carried. We'll move on to the application. Number 1, C41/24, Donald Moyer.
It is moved by Jonathan Sanford and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application made by Don and Rita Moye for the creation of a new lot at 307 Kipling Road West, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 11th, 2026, that the transfer or deed of land be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, in the event of any portion of municipally maintained or traveled road be located on either side of the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line be maintained and transferred, including the retained lands, be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition to the severance, and that the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to Section 61 of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for drainage maintenance among the parts into which the land is being divided. The cost of the apportionment shall be borne by the applicant. So this is an application to create a single lot. The retained area is 27 hectares and your severed is 4 hectares, and that will front onto Parity Road.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from our panel? No, pretty straightforward. And it meets all the guidelines as size anyway, so. Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. We'll move on to the Denise Lachance, C4224. And should we do all the Lachance at the same time? So number two and
And the associated minor
number
variance.
3 and the minor variance
Yes.
number 2. Okay.
Yeah. All right. It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Jonathan Sanford. Be it resolved that the consent application made for a lot addition at 41 Golf Course Road be approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation of all property taxes paid up to date, that the conditions be met on or before September 11th, 2026, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, that the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to Section 65 of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for the drainage maintenance among the parts into which the land is being divided, and that a PIN consolidation be registered in the Land Registry Office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands with the lands to which they're being added. So those are the conditions for application C42. And then minor variance 2024-11, which also applies to 41 Golf Course Road. It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Jonathan Sandford. That is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to reduce the lot area from 1 hectare to 0.7 hectare for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. The variance is desirable for the appropriate development, and is considered minor in nature. And then the final application connected to this property is C43/24. And it is moved by Jonathan Sandford and seconded by Campbell Anderson that the consent application for a lot addition at Highway 17 is approved on the following conditions: that the reference plan is prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, confirmation that all property taxes are up to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 11th, 2026, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of the certificate of consent, that pursuant to Section 65 of the Drainage Act, the municipal engineer will apportion the assessment for the drainage maintenance among the parts into which the land is being divided, and that a PIN consolidation be registered in the Land Registry Office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands. So the application here, just give me 1 second and I will share my screen with us. So this is at the corner of Golf Course Road and Highway 17. The corner property is currently the commercial use. As this business has grown, it has spread onto the adjacent properties, which are also connected to the family. So they're just looking to kind of right the property lines and ensure that it aligns with the actual use of the land. So the first application, as we see here, is to sever the rear half of the residential property to the north and add that onto the commercial lands. By doing so, the retained lands with the residential use will be undersized. So that's the minor variance application coming in. And in addition, they're also taking a portion of the residential property to the west of the property that also has been used for this commercial use and adding that onto the commercial use.
And then the minor variance is the retained lot where the residential property is slightly undersized, and so
Yes.
they're looking for the variance on the lot size reduction, minimum lot size reduction for the retained lands.
That is correct.
Yeah, 3.728 hectares. All right, thank you. Is there any questions? Go ahead.
I have a question, because we always, if we can maintain, is there a reason why the severed two area has to be as wide as it is and they can't push it back to maintain the minimum lot size?
Well, because there would be very little left of severed two worth adding.
Okay.
Also, it's already developed, it's a parking area for the trailers.
Okay.
And actually on Ms. Willock's suggestion, we had initially had the line, the client wanted it even closer to the house, but we've moved it back so that we have at least a minimum rear yard of 15 meters, which makes more sense. And at some point in time, then the fence, of course, will be relocated on the property boundaries.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My question was the fence, so eventually the fence would be moved to the proper property line?
Correct.
Okay.
Like right now, like was said, it was all kind of within the same sort of family. Everyone gets along, everyone's living with it as it is. So it's not like it's a dispute between neighbors, but eventually everyone either dies or sells. And so, you know, who knows who you're.
Is that planner philosophy
Well,
right
that's,
there?
yeah, that's just the life philosophy as I'm getting older and approaching that. I'm hoping to sell first.
Correct. All right, thank you. Any more questions from our panel? I think this is very straightforward and just kind of putting all the dots and I's on the proper situation for the Lachamps. So I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried.
Do we have to do 3 separate votes on each of those?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll just read the other 2 resolutions.
Okay.
So do you want to reread them or just say which the application were?
You only read the one so far, right?
I read all
No, you
3 at
read
the
all
start.
3.
Okay, no. You can probably just do the number.
So C42, which is the lot addition from the residential portion to the commercial. minor variance 2024-11, which is to reduce the lot size of the residential lot.
Carried.
Thank you. And C43-24, which is the lot addition from the lands to the side.
Carried. Okay, Mr. Lachance, you're all done. We're all set. All right. We'll move on to C44. William and Deborah Fix.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Jonathan Sandford. Be it resolved that the consent application made by William and Deborah Specs for the creation of 2 new lots at 108 McDonald Road is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office and a copy of the survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are up to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 11th, 2026, that transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of the municipally maintained and traveled road be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition of the severance, and that pursuant to Section 65 of the Drainage Act, the municipal engineer apportion the assessment for drain maintenance among the parts into which the land is being divided. So this is an application just to create 2 new residential residential lots. The current lot is going to be retained at 64 hectares. There are 2 separate lots, each are going to be 1.85 hectares. And they have confirmed that the setback for the house and the outbuildings does comply with MDS, so these lots will be buildable.
Okay.
And they'll be zoned rural residential.
They're currently zoned rural, and because they're over 1 hectare, they can
remain. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions from our panel? No? Straightforward also. I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Move on to number 5, C45/24, Michael Duffy.
It is moved by Jonathan Sandford and seconded by Campbell Anderson that the consent application made by Michael Duffy for a lot addition be approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office and a copy of a new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are up to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 11th, 2026, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for issuance of certificate of consent, and that a property identification number consolidation be registered in the land registry office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands with the lands that they are being added to. This is a lot addition of an area of 636 square meters to address the location where the septic system was placed, and just addressing the lot line so that the septic system is within their property boundaries.
Okay. Can you explain? I'm sorry, I'm confused by this drawing because there's lots of.
It's a caffeine discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's no straight lines.
no straight line.
You're welcome.
No, I actually, I don't even know. I see a severed.
So does
So the
this,
lands to be added is the whole rectangle, this whole rectangle?
So the severed is being away from the retained
Yeah.
and added to this.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
the severed is
Okay.
going to the lands to be
gotcha.
added to, right?
Okay,
Which is the
general
dwelling?
store. Yes.
okay.
Okay. All right, I understand now.
And we'd done one previously, but unfortunately, the septic, when they constructed it, was still outside of those lands.
Okay.
So like my good friend who's here in the meeting, Don always says, call before you dig. But unfortunately, in this case, they didn't, and it was discovered after the fact. So Mr. Duffy is trying to clean this up for his neighbor. The oddball shape, though, is also to provide access to the parking for the store, which right now is crossing Mr. Duffy's land to get into the parking spots. So this will clear up both issues.
All right. Straightforward. I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Move on to number 6, C46/24, Sturgeon Falls Brush and Contracting.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Jonathan Sanford. Be it resolved that the consent application made by Sturgeon Falls Brush and Contracting for the creation of a right-of-way at 15 Landfill Site Road is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are up to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 11th, 2026, and that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for issuance of certificate of consent. There is a bit of a background on this one. The property which is shown on the sketch as Boreal Homes is a previous severance that was done. And part of that was they required a legal access. There have been discussions, and the intent now is that they will have their access to this property by Landfill Road. And then this right-of-way is being done just as an alternative and a backup measure in case that isn't feasible anymore.
Okay. As, I know there was problems, well, when this came on last, or this spring, that they wanted access to the landfill site road, but the landfill site road is not a municipally maintained road.
That is correct, and as Samantha indicated, that's part of there are still ongoing discussions between the municipality and the Boreal Homes with regard to the road itself, and also the perhaps a temporary use, and with Sturgeon Brush. So the intent is to have the access off of Landfill Site Road, but in order to ensure that, in case something arises, this will be a backup measure.
Okay, so if they go ahead, will they still have access to landfill, or are they they're going through with their severed lands?
The intent is to access directly from landfill, but there's
Okay.
still details being worked out between the
Okay.
parties. This is just a backup, just in case something happens.
Okay, that was my only,
It's also to give the assurance to Boreal that they have guaranteed long-term access. So that it was a way of hopefully securing them to come to the site. There are some other sites they've also considered. This is the main one. But unless we could guarantee that we had access to it really raised a question in their minds. And a temporary access, of course, is just temporary. Who wants to invest that much money putting in a new factory on something that may not be there in the future? So
Okay.
this is just to ensure that they do have access. If we can work out an agreement for access long-term or permanently to Landfill Site Road, then the agreement is that Boreal would release and abandon the right-of-way so that Sturgeon Falls Brush's land is no longer encumbered. Now, if they need to build the access road, they will, but only if they have to.
okay. Any more questions?
No, I'm familiar with the file, but for those who aren't familiar with the area, there is the access gate for the landfill site located just past that first entrance to the driveway, I believe. And so currently, when the landfill is closed, there is no access to Landfill Site Road beyond that gate. And so, as Mr. Goodrich explained, this is an assurance for a company that's looking to invest in our community.
And it is part of the agreement that we will move the gate north, just so that Boreal does have their temporary access all the time. We still prohibit public access to the dump at times when the staff wouldn't be there.
All right. If there's no more questions, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. We're moving on to the minor variance, MV 2024/10, Pierre and Lynn Rainville.
It was moved by Jonathan Sanford and seconded by Campbell Anderson. It is the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to reduce the front yard setback from 18 meters to 8 meters for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and it is the opinion of the committee that the variance is minor in nature. This application is to, the house currently does have this sunroom and deck on it. They've decided to rebuild it to a safer standard. The rebuild is actually going to be a little bit short of what's currently sitting there. And because of that location, they do need to reduce the setback from the waterfront from 18 meters to 8 meters.
Okay,
So the new build is gonna be smaller than what's shown on this sketch here, or this is?
This sketch shows what their proposed is. What's
Okay.
currently existing that they're looking to replace is slightly shorter or slightly
Smaller.
closer to the water. Yeah. So this is actually a slight,
Reduction
Yeah.
in size.
a reduction in size. This is smaller than what's there, so it's
So
Better.
a slight increase in setback.
yes.
so it'll be further away from the water.
They're,
way to say it.
they're further from the water than they are now. Yes.
Okay. All right, so it'll eventually be 8 is with the max that they'll come as close to the water.
That's correct.
Okay,
Sorry, they are less than 8 right now? With the current building, is that what I understood?
Yes, it's
Okay.
probably closer to 8.5. We don't have that exact, but
Right,
it is
right.
a reduction.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm confused. What is existing now is larger or is smaller than what they're proposing to build.
What is existing now
Mhm.
is slightly larger than what they're proposing to build.
They're proposing to build smaller.
They're proposing to make the situation better.
You
Yes,
just said 8.5, so.
I know, it's hard to, yeah. This is better than what's there.
so what they have now is less than 8, but they'll be building, so it'll
Yes.
be at 8.
Yes,
Okay.
proposed is for 8.
I understand now.
Probably be a little more than, sorry, but it'll probably be a little smaller, like it'll probably be more than 8 meters.
Okay,
But we always leave just a little bit of play in there because during construction, you don't want to have to come back because somebody added an extra 2x4 or something. So there's a little bit of play, but 8 would be the absolute closest it would be.
okay. In your recollection, Paul, are the neighboring properties pretty much the same? Or will this one be sticking out way more than the adjoining properties?
And actually, Don may be able to help me better with that than, and here, this one actually, will show it even better.
Okay, so even the neighbor is closer. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Well, I'm okay with the situation.
It's
It's just that, if the other ones are further back and this one's, it's gonna be
Yes.
way close, then it's not fair to the abutting neighbors. So, no, I'm totally okay with it. Any other questions? No? I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. And we are done. And we do the adjournment.
It is,
Everybody in favor? Okay.
Good.
Go
I
ahead.
just got the low battery warning on my iPad. so
Good
we
timing.
can-
it is moved by Jonathan Sanford and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment meeting be adjourned to October 8th, 2024.
October 8th.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Can I get a vote, please?
Oh, everybody?
Thank you.
Carried.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Time to watch the big debate.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, yeah. Good night, everyone.
Camilla.
Hey, bye, Don.